Thank you guys.
Amazing. Amazing.
Best of the best. Yeah. Great way to end the 2025. And so for the people who had guests, could you please raise your virtual hand? And and then we'll quickly turn the floor to Pramod and Neil and Twinkle. Okay. Awesome. Great, guys. So I see so many people. Great job on having all the candidates to this wonderful TV. Me and Sarah had a personal guest as well. So awesome. So due to the time restriction, I'll pass on the floor to Mr. Pramod. Yeah, I'm so excited to actually listen to have their pod chat. It's an honor to host these two people who are legends in the business, and personally, we look up to them a lot. So over to and shout out to the moderating team and to coordinate everything right from scratch. Yeah, a huge shout out to Abdullah, Mo, Ali, Barney, and Sarah. So thankful for you guys to actually have such a smooth event. And I know this is a max capacity, so yes. Without much further ado, it's let's join our hands to invite Pramod and Neil and Twinkle.
Okay. Sean, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, what an amazing, amazing tea, man. After that tea, I don't think anybody needs a follow-up, Neil. You guys did such an amazing job. So, of course, in the interest of time, we'll jump right into the topic. In fact, when I was talking to Ganesh a couple of days ago, I told him, after the function, I was just giving him some feedback, and he's like, I'm excited about this week because Neil and Twinkle are coming over. Then Ganesh like, well, they have a lot of things to share, but you know what? We want to make sure that we get what we want out of for the dream team. So why don't we just make it like a Q&A? I said, okay, whatever you say. So I reached out to Neil and say, hey, this is what Ganesh wants us to do. And Neil's like, whoa, anything is good. So with that said, first of all, Neil Tickle, thank you. Thank you for coming to share your time with the dream team. I know you have your own meetings on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but you took time to be here. And for those of you here, you know what? Neil and Twinkle not only have gone Sapphire, the following year they've gone Founder Sapphire. Anybody goes any pin, Platinum to Founder Platinum, Sapphire to Founder, Emerald to Founder, and I'll tell you that what it means in a simple term, they have a very stable business, okay? And very profitable too. So the first and foremost question for you, Neil, you guys have built a very successful business, but what Ganesh wanted me to ask you is, obviously now it's holiday time, everybody's hustling for the volume and whatnot, but you have a good amount of people getting started in your business. When you get somebody started, what are the few things that you do in their first 30 days, 60 days to help them inculcate the habit of products and volume and dittos? And also the other thing we want to emphasize is the education part. So if you can touch upon the product part and the data part and education part, what your recommendation, or typically what do you guys do? We'll start with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much. This is an honor and a privilege to serve tonight.
Such a huge privilege. Thank
yeah.
you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to kind of share a little bit of
Mhm.
some of the things that we've done, right?
And thanks for letting Neil share for an hour.
Yes. I know some of you guys may have been falling asleep. Apologies for that.
Yes,
It's past
everybody's awake.
past your bedtime, but yeah, and also thank you, Pramod, for the question and having us here. It's very exciting. So, I guess just to start out, do you want to start?
No, please.
Yeah. So just to start out, I think the foundation of a good partnership is a really, really good vetting process, right? And I know there's some people on here that maybe have a longer vetting process, maybe a shorter vetting process. I encourage you, right? The biggest teams in Amway right now, Amway North America, are leveraging the process full force. So I highly recommend dialing in. See, I remember hearing early on, the early adopters are the ones that get the most benefit from the changes. And so for us, we weren't necessarily early adopters, but we were fairly early in as far as the process goes. But buy in, right? This is the new wave that's coming. And so for us, we took full advantage of the audios that were provided, the content that we could get our hands on at Achievers. We were just talking to some of the people in the moderator team. Shout out to them, by the way, and for everyone who had guests. You guys are awesome. Great candidates as well. But we were talking to them a little bit before the call started, and in San Diego at Achievers, we were literally awake until 3, 4 a.m. every single night in a huddle, learning from Luis and Jackie. Jackie wasn't there because she just had a baby, but Luis, Tony, some of these other guys that are really, really crushing the business right now. Luis and Jackie are the #1 diamond ship in all in North America. So why wouldn't we want to learn from them? And so, basically, to answer your question, Pramod, we took full force and full advantage of the vetting process. And it wasn't just a tactic. It wasn't just a strategy to get people in our business. It wasn't a filtering process because we didn't want to work with everybody. But we had to put a high value on our time. If we're going to take time away from all of the other things that we got going on, time away from each other, time away from our families, time away from all the other investments in the people in our team to invest time to another individual, a new person, it's got to be a good investment of our time. And so the vetting process, it's set up in a way, it should be, if you guys don't have this in your vetting process yet, it should be in a way where you've level set expectations in all areas. When it comes to products, when it comes to ditto, when it comes to the core habits, all of these things should be already addressed. Luis said this in one of the masterminds. He said that the worst thing that you could tell somebody after they launch is, I forgot to tell you this. I forgot to tell you that. Everything should be laid out. That is an opportunity to create more trust and transparency with the partnerships that you do have. But if you're springing up a ditto or the SSI program in the middle of partnership, and now there's a new incentive, well, they're going to think, maybe they think, oh, wow, my upline maybe forgot something, or maybe they didn't know, or whatever it may be. But there's some people that are a little bit more in tune with these things, and they're going to think, man, was I manipulated into this? Right. And so if you're not clear in your expectations of the partnerships that you develop, the back end isn't going to be too pretty. You're going to have a revolving door business. You're not going to have strong partnerships. You're going to have lower standards. And so, we were doing a talk last night at our team meeting, and one of the quotes that really kind of stood out to me was, set your bar high and the world will meet you there. Right. There's a really good audio. If you guys are on elite subscription, which all of you should be, if you're non-apprentices or if you're full partners, called Be the Bar by Luis and Jackie. Mm-hmm. Right. I would listen to that. I would study that. I would study all of those audios. Right. So, and if you have access to this content, man, why wouldn't you study? Why wouldn't you learn from the greats? Imagine if Warren Buffett, you're trying to be an investor, one of the biggest billionaires in the world, right? Or even a millionaire, and Warren Buffett is putting out content once or twice every single month for you to listen to and learn from. Why wouldn't you study that content? Mm-hmm. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. But anyways, to answer your question, Pramod, it starts in the vetting process. Level setting expectations in the vetting process is crucial to have stronger partnerships and people that know what is expected of them. And so when they start, there's no questions. There's no, oh man, so I have to do my ditto every month. Oh man, I have to do volume. I have to hit 150 to hit my SSI. I have to do this. I have to read and listen every single day. What's the value? What's the purpose of that? No one's questioning it because they've understood the expectations all the way up through the entire vetting process. And by the time an offer is extended in a partnership, they're excited. They're fired up. They're appreciative. They're ready to go. Their dittos, I'm not saying that everybody's ditto process is on the 1st of every month or the 15th. We forward date our dittos in our team. That's what we teach on the 15th for the following month. But not everybody's doing it, but majority of the population is. And we're not building a business out of frustration. We're building a business out of an abundance, right? So all of the partners that are coming into our team, there's a number one, there's a high level of standard and expectation, but also they're rising to the occasion. Mm-hmm. They're doing what's necessary. They're doing what's expected of them. And if they don't do what's expected, now that allows us to build even more trust by having a crucial conversation with them and holding them to that standard that they said that they're going to do. And we talk about high risk versus low risk in a process. High risk is somebody who does the exact opposite of what they said they're going to do. Low risk is someone who did the exact opposite. Sorry, they did the exact thing that they said they were going to do. They followed through on the commitment that they made. And so when we have a conversation in partnership, we do a game plan, or we look at their budget, or we look at their beginning stages, and we look at their core habits. If they're not doing core before noon, we're not going to move into the next stage of business. So Hitesh and Paul talk about this beautifully. He said there's 3 balls that you're juggling in business, right? A full-blown IBO there's 3 things, 3 main categories. First thing is core before noon, doing your core habits. Your habits are number 1. They're critical. If you're not able to do core before noon for at least a 30-day run, we're not moving into the second one. or if you're crushing it for the first couple of weeks and there's no issues and you're not missing a day, then great. We'll add the second ball just a little bit, right, as we go. The second thing is web tours, right? Starting to create a small group of customers that are supporting you in business, anywhere from 15 to 20, maybe even 25, depending on where that person's at. Anybody who's above the age of 40 that's on their list, we start to help them build a list of customers that they can start doing web tours with.
Web tours is a fancy way of just saying like kind of like grand openings, like, things like that, where you're just basically talking about your products and the business that you started.
So it could be a web tour on your phone, right? Or you're talking to somebody right next to you and you're like, hey, look, I heard you were really tired today. I got some great products that might be able to help you. I started helping wellness business. I got connected to some people and be able to separate the product from the mentor. We'll kind of talk a little bit about that. But you'd say, hey, I started my own health and wellness business. I'm starting to learn how to create passive income. And one of the things my mentor that's retired at an early age has helped me. One of the tasks that they put me on is find a good company to partner with that has a good reputation with good products that are good for you. And learn how to create some revenue, because any entrepreneur, if you're not able to create revenue, you're not a true entrepreneur. You can't create $550 worth of revenue. Are you even able to consider yourself an entrepreneur, right? And so anyways, you have that conversation. You say, hey, here's some of the products on the Amway website. You can do a Zoom call with that person. You can go over to your grandma's house and show them on the website if they don't know how to work Zoom. A web tour could be 5 minutes or it could be 50 minutes. It just kind of depends on the scenario, right? But asking good quality questions. So anyways, that's the second bullet that you're juggling. When you master that, well, you don't have to master it perfectly, but by the time you're at a point where you're getting some good retail customers, you're having your first few sales coming in, well, now, then and only then will we start to introduce the third thing that you're juggling, which is the work ethic piece of the business. So that's the initial stages, but it's very crucial and important for someone to be able to just figure out their first ball that they're juggling before introducing a second one and then eventually a third one. So anything you want to add?
No, you covered that beautifully.
Cool. Hopefully it helps Pramod answer the
Oh,
question.
absolutely, absolutely. And next up, let's use Devan. Devan's your new guy. You sponsored Devan in the business, right? And you went through the first 30 days or 60 days where you introduced him to all the three juggling balls that you were talking about. Now, at what point do you start talking about C-list or start training Devan on bringing partners other than A and B list? And how do you train them? Or what is first few assignments you give it to him?
Great question. Great question. Well, there's a lot of podcasts that are on the app that are in the networking category of the Academy that we also share, right? There's a lot of podcasts that we have internally that we've, ourselves have cut, or Hitesh and Paul and Hitesh and Sonali that we send out just as like basic training material, just to prepare them to start sharing their story. So they have to formulate their story, right? First thing is formulate your story around the framework. When you share your story, what's the story? It's talking about four things, answering four questions, right? Where you were, who you met, the results they created, and what they're helping you to create. I got connected to some people that create a lot of passive income, right? Results. In your story, maybe looking a little bit different. We don't need to get into the nitty gritties because I don't want to give you like a script or anything like that. But those four questions, if you're able to answer that in a story when you're having a conversation with somebody, well, now when you go out, there's confidence because number one, right? What's the second ball we're juggling? What's the first ball we're juggling? You're personally developing yourselves. And then the second thing is you're starting to develop some customers. So now you feel like a business owner because you have ownership around the products that you have your hands on and the business that you're running. And so now when you go out and you have conversations with C-list, let's just start there. When you start having conversation with C-list and you have a good solid story, well, now you can talk about and reference the story that actually happened to you. Who you met, the results that where you were, who you met, the results that they created, and what they're helping you now to create. And what they're currently helping you to create because they helped you with personal development. And they also helped you get some customer sales and starting to create revenue and learning the skill set behind being an entrepreneur. Want to add anything to that?
No.
You
took it all.
Sorry, I'll let you answer first next time. But in the first thing, if somebody can't see themselves getting a contact today or Masawa or share their story or do 10 meeting greets, obviously 10 meeting greets is what it takes to create success at a high level in this arena every single month until you go diamond. If you can't get to that point, we'll backtrack it. What can you handle? At your point, the goal is not results. The goal is not to have more partnerships. The goal is not to have a huge team necessarily or have a reach a pin. What is the goal? It's conquering your fears. It's conquering your fears initially. Right? It's like what Hitesh and Paul talked about on Saturday. can you just go out and say hi to people? Okay, let's start there. 10 initiations a day. Start there. Get 10, report back. And then eventually we'll scale you up to 10 conversations. Have 10, report back. Let's talk about it. You get a masala that day, you're sending a voice memo to me or Twinkle, and we're giving you feedback. We're giving you feedback in your first 90-day run. We're giving you a lot of feedback, a lot of tweaks, a lot of screwdriver adjustments as we go. And by the end of that 90-day run, you've learned enough to potentially start having a little bit more proficiency and maybe getting some result in your second 90-day core run.
Excellent, excellent. Twinkle, maybe you can answer this. Let's say you met a lady in Target, right? What does your message look like? Let's say you're looking to add width and you met a lady at Target. Just as an example to the audience, what does your message look like?
It looks a little bit different every time. If I'm honest with you, the basic premise or like the framework of it might look like, that, I always talk about like my story and kind of what happened to us. Just, my husband and I basically, we like Neil talked about, right? The framework is who you got connected to. So we've just gotten connected to some people, different entrepreneurs. And they were like some of the results that they were able to create strong, e-commerce business. And we were able to, have the opportunity to pursue them, convince them to take us under their wing. And, thankfully we earned a relationship. And now we're on track to create the same results. And so that's the basic framework. Again, like I'm thinking because it's a little bit different every time. It depends on the situation. So please don't take what I say and you're like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to say from now on. And you commit it to memory because that's just the basic framework. But I always try to follow those same guidelines.
Yeah, that's where everybody has to develop their message with coach, sitting with their coach or mentor. But this is the most important one, Dinesh wanted me to ask you, Neil. You already had a platinum organization, which is Dewan. Now, at some point you said, man, it's good to have a platinum organization, but we need to get going in the business. So when you made the decision at that point, what was your first 6 months or 1 year look like? What made you that, what gave you that edge or what helped you from that point onwards, where the one was already a platinum, you putting together a business outside of that? Maybe if both of you can share a few thoughts about what helped you in that phase.
So that's a really, really good question because some of you guys may be in that same boat. I'll share a quick snippet and then I'll kick it over to Twinkle because I'll explain why. So we got engaged in 2020. February 16, 2020, we moved in together as an engaged couple, newly engaged in March of 2020. And some of you guys remember what happened in March of 2020? The pandemic hit. So everything got shut down. So during that time, we were silver sponsors, right? We had nothing to the side. And we didn't really have a whole lot of momentum because we were in this new era of COVID, right? And so we got really, really into Shark Tank. That was our COVID show. So I like to reference that a lot. That's why. But during that time, Twinkle got fed up and she was like, hey, I don't like online contacting. It's not. And I said the same thing. I sent out a bunch of messages and I forget to respond like for a week. And so it just wasn't conducive to our building style. Not saying that it doesn't work because there's other platinums, even on the Choose Summit team, that are really heavily LinkedIn contacting, like Omar and Dede. They're crushing it in that department. They do like 17, 18, 19 meet and greets every month. But for us, it just like we never cut traction. So Twinkle was like, forget this, I'm going out. So she put on a mask, get her gloves on, and she would start crushing it. She would get a bunch of contacts, do 6, 7, 8, 9 meet and greets every single month on her own, by herself. And I was sitting at home like, yeah, go ahead, good luck, right? I'm gonna keep watching Shark Tank or whatever I was doing at home, right? And during that time, we had this meeting that we would have every Friday or every other Friday where we would get together with the Mitesh and Sonali's team and we'd talk about the work ethic. And everybody would come to Twinkle and say, hey, you're doing great. You're doing awesome. Asking her a bunch of questions. And I'm like, what the heck? Why are they asking her questions? I've been your upline for 5 years. What are you doing? Ask me questions. We just got engaged. So she just became their upline at that point. And I was like, ask me questions, right? I was there when your dog died. What are you doing? What's going on here? I don't come talk to me. I was there when you broke up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever it was, or when you're having an existential crisis. I've been doing your game plan and your budget for years. And so they went to Twinkle and my ego got hurt. My ego got bruised. And I was like, man, this freaking sucks. I need to get my butt out and go do something. And so at that point, late 2020, that's when I kind of joined the fold with Twinkle. But she led the charge. I think I was a little bitter. I was jaded. I had been in business for a long time as a silver sponsor, no results, no, not a whole lot of recognition. I was, people used to think I was Hitesh Mitesh's cousin. Um, that was the most painful. Yeah, there was an emerald in an elevator one time at a function, and like, hey, you're Chudasama, right? And then they're like, hey, are you Hitesh Mitesh's cousin? I said, you sucker, you watch out. I'm coming for you. We were silver sponsors. Nobody knew us, right? So, but I'll let Twinkle talk about that.
Yeah, no, thanks for the layup. I mean, and me and Neil talked about this the other night. There's been so many times where he's telling the story of how, I took the reins in that moment, but there's so many times where he took the reins and he said, I'm going to do this for us. You may not be in the position where you feel like it, or you're going through whatever you're going through. And he never let that stop him. And, I'm so thankful for what we have today because of, his grit, his tenacity, but his ability to not stay butthurt about the fact that like people were coming to ask me questions. He said, instead of saying like, wow, the business doesn't work or people don't respect me, and just saying, well, I'll show them, I'm just going to quit and just going to sit here on my butt. He said, no, I'm going to go out there with you and we're going to win together. And so I'm so thankful for that because Mitesh and Sonali have always taught us that is that you don't lose on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
One of you has to win. One of you has to be willing to stand in the gap. So, whether you're a man, a woman, you're a single, whatever, building the business, whatever you choose, I want you to know that you can choose yourself every time. And I always tell the ladies in my team, whenever me and Sonali, get a chance to do pod chat, I will always tell them that nobody is coming to save you.
Okay.
Nobody, like Neil was not, we were engaged. He was a silver sponsor. It looked great from the outside, but I had to even come to terms that even in our marriage, nobody was coming to save me, to build something for me. And if I was serious about this, I had to put my best foot forward and I had to build something. And so in that moment where, we're trying to figure out the business and we're doing 6, 7, 8 meet and greets a month, really focused on building the business. Thank you. And we're like working together and finally we're on the same page. Finally, there's a work habit. Finally, we've got like something going, but no results. And so we're like, okay, well, you know what they say, stay super committed. And, eventually something will shake. Nothing ever did shake.
Mm-hmm.
And we eventually saw maybe we don't know everything. And that was a really big turning point for us. And we'll always talk about that moment in our business because we went to Mitesh and Sonali and we said, we don't know everything. And we said, we have been doing this for months, time and time and time again, and we are not seeing anything happen. We weren't frustrated with that. We were frustrated at the fact that like maybe we weren't reaching out. And if you go and listen to our story, we talk about how we sorted out a lot of stuff with them, but now we are tight as anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you've got, and it's so funny, I always talk about this, when Sonali was having her first baby, Chia, they were in the hospital. And on the board, like on her board, right? Like where it talks about like who her nurse is. And if you've ever seen that in the hospital.
Dietary restrictions.
On the board, it said no beef. And I said, that is really good advice for life. Like no beef, like don't have beef with people. If you don't know what that means, I'll break it down. It basically means don't have any bad blood. Don't have any like resentment towards each other. It was saying no beef. She doesn't eat beef. But I read it as no beef, like don't have beef with people. And so I always take that as like face value. So we fixed our relationship. We decided to get coaching. We were silver sponsors doing 6, 7, 8, 10 meet and greets a month. And we went to them and we said, maybe we need help. And sometimes you just need your upline. Even if you think your upline doesn't know, they know. I don't know how they do, but they always know.
Yep.
And so we asked them. Mitesh made one slight tweak. A month later, we started launching.
Yep.
And that's how our Ruby ship, our team outside of Devon started to grow. And now you see today, a great organization, a Founder Sapphire organization, which we're so, so thankful for. We didn't have that in our mind that, oh, we're going to get Founder Sapphire done in what feels like such a short amount of time. But what's so cool, you guys, is that it took us, whatever it was, 8 years to go platinum. And you might look at that and be like, well, it took you 8 years to go platinum. And you might be sitting on this call saying it's taken me so long to go platinum. But if you push through and you stay focused and you say, this is actually where I'm planted and what I want to do, then you make the decision to move on. That's all it was. It was a decision to move on. And we said that we're going to change our business. If our business was going to change, it was going to come from us. So 8 years to platinum. But after that, 11 years total, we've been in business. So 8 years to go platinum, 2.5 years to get Founder Sapphire done. So that's not because we're so great. That should, in fact, tell you that if you push through, you don't know when your seeds are being planted. My dad always used to tell me that. He says, you can never control how the seed sprouts or where you're going to reap, but you will always reap what you sow. Mm-hmm. And I always remember that. So I said, there is never a bad seed that I could plant. And it's so cool. He's on this call today. And it's so fun if you see him, Rajesh Danoja. I owe so much to him. And it's so fun being able to talk to him. I used to be a little girl sitting in the crowd watching him talk about me, and I could never say anything back. He'd tell all these stories. So I'm going to tell all these stories. But I would be remiss if I did not give credit where credit is due. And this is the last and final point that I'll make, is that not only is it that 11 years of a journey that you all are seeing of like, okay, finally things are starting to come together and happen. You're not seeing the many years that even him and my mom put into the business. So if you're a parent here today, or if you ever plan on it, I want you to know that whatever you are planting in your home today, even if you haven't seen it happen for you yet, it will eventually transcend into your children. Absolutely. And I never saw my dad quit. I never saw him throw in the towel. I never, ever saw him say one bad thing about the environment, about the people. And I said, this is where I want to be planted. And it might not have, I was a little hard-headed at first, but eventually I got it. And I truly accredit all of our growth, all of our success, a lot of it to Neil, but I also accredit a lot of that to him. Oh. I accredit a lot of that to my dad, because without him showing me what it looked like to have a dream and to have a purpose and to pour into people, even when you feel empty yourself, we would not have what we have today. Yep. So for that, I am so thankful. And I want you to know that if you never quit, some way, somewhere along the line, it might not happen exactly for you the way that you see it, but it will happen somewhere down in your legacy.
That was great.
Amazing. Guys, 20 minutes is a very short time to, get the nuggets out of you guys. But I'll tell you, in closing, of course, eventually we'll talk to Ganesh and see if we can bring you guys back to Dream Team just for a 2-hour training. But the fact that you guys keep looking that way, I'm assuming that you're looking at your org chart on that side. Yeah. So any final thoughts that, anything that could help the team?
Sure.
In our organization, our org chart, it's blurry.
It's blurry. Yeah. Okay.
In our organization, like the org chart is shown to everybody because it's used as a teaching point.
I know that wasn't your question. Anything that can help, like by showing our org chart, but I was like, that might help. That might inspire some people. But
the fact that you see the org chart every day helps. So many people kind of ignore the fact that their org chart is in some book somewhere. Even I have a board somewhere, in the bedroom, in the master closet.
We bring people here to our office and we do game plans in this office. So like if people come to our house for a game plan, we're sitting here doing a game plan, looking at their group, drawing things out, talking about it. It should be public, right? They get to see their cross-lines business. They get to compete on that level. And that was learned from Hitesh and Pyle, right? They have all of their million legs on their board, and we get inspiration from it. So
yeah, but if there's anything that we keep looking over here at the board, the biggest thing that's on our board right now are the things that are right in front of us of what our next goals are. Yeah. So the first thing that I see and that I look over all the time is it says #free twinkle, and then it has our goal of the goal that we want to hit. And then I can walk away from my corporate career, which I am so excited to do. I'm thrilled. And then next over to the right, it's there are about 14 bubbles that are added with just volume inside of the bubbles and numbered all the way to 20. And there is an arrow going from like 20, and in big letters that Neil has put, it says, "Do you have diamond? Let's finish it." And 200 people to March 2026, 150 people to Ignite 2026, which, is just right around the corner. But we put our goals in front of us, and then we have our daily goals. So it says goals are 1 contact a day, 2 to 3 meet and greet ones a week, 1 to 2 launches a month, 20 partner honoring legs by December 2026, full side volume by March 2026, 12 partner honoring legs by February 2026, Ruby by 2026, and Twinkle Home by February of 2026.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you guys. I know thank you is a very small word for you guys, but you literally pour your heart out, and I didn't expect that you would pan the camera to the org chart, but I could see that the thought process, the mindset, and I could guess that yes, you're looking at the org chart while you're talking. But that was a cool thing. But thank you very much, and appreciate you guys. I know Neil, you didn't have to do this, and Twinkle, and kudos to Rajesh. Rajesh, thank you, for sharing your kids with us tonight. And what an amazing blessing. And you know what, Dream Team, it's going to make it big. Dream Team 3000 that's the next goal that we all have. Appreciate you guys, and we're so proud of you guys. Coming from sharing your vulnerability and your story and how you made it. I know with this kind of a commitment and focus, I know Emerald's in the back for you guys. And God bless you guys, and happy holidays. And thank you once again. And back to you, Sean.
Thank you so much.
Keep going.
Yeah, that is so cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Neil and Twinkle.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Neil and Twinkle.
Great spot chat. Thanks, Neil.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you, Pramod.
Thank you, Pramod.
Great hosting, Sean.
Outstanding. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Neil and
Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Pramod. Thank you, Neil and Twinkle.
Thanks, Pramod. Great hosting, Sean.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Dream Team, and for giving me the opportunity. That was such a wonderful pod chat. Took so much away. And this will be the reason why Dream Team will reach 3,000 moving forward. Thank you so much for pouring your hearts. And I always loved your transparency and the heart which you serve. That is something that we emulate to actually accomplish as well. And the next week's speakers are a surprise.